Welcome to the Polity once again. It's coming to you as usual from the Abuja studio of Kaftan Television. And my name is Dayo Omo. I'm very excited, like I say all the time, I'm very excited to be here. And part of the essence of this program, especially when I host it, is to ensure that you have a beautiful day, even if you have had a bad day before now. You know, like I say all the time, once you get hooked onto this show, you can be sure that you will get enlightenment, you will get education, you will get information, and in the course of it, there will be some drop here and there of humor, and I can assure you that your spirit will be lifted before the end of this program. It's important to me, and I do hope that you also key in to it. What's it been? Bad day, now the good day, the good part of the day is about to begin. And if you've had a good day before now, you can be sure that, yeah, it's going to get better. Welcome once again to the Polity. And today, I'm starting straight away with my guest. His name is Victor Prince Dickson. Great Nigerian, loaded with ideas, creative. He's an inventor. He's an entrepreneur. He's a human capital engineer. He's so many things rolled into one. And when he speaks, you have no choice but to listen. But I don't need to preempt him. You will have first-hand experience very shortly. But just before I bring him into the picture, let me just talk about what we intend to talk about today. The topic today is nation building and how history can be a very critical building block for building the nation. You and I will agree that Nigeria has been through a roller coaster history. Nigeria has been through high points, low points, the valley, the crooked parts, and the mountain. We have a nation that is practically fractured, if you like, in terms of the soul. It might not be showing on the surface. We might not have the visible cracks, but there are, you can feel from the tugs, the pulls, all that from the various parts that make it up. You can see from the banditry, you can see from the kidnapping, you can see from all of that all things are not all put together. And you can see that we are a nation still very much in the process of solidifying, if you like. I hope that word makes sense to you in the context that I really. We tend to not. We tend to prioritize our ethnicities, for example, above our nation. There's so much suspicion, mutual suspicion among the tribes that constitute Nigeria. There's so much, there's divisive rhetorics all over the place, and so on and so forth. And that's why it's important that we know who we are through our history, so that we can, from that point, know the potentials that we have in order to be able to establish who we can become and actually aspire to become that ideal, to become that which God had purposed for a beautiful nation like Nigeria from the very outset. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And if you recollect that for many years, history was taken out of the curriculum, just returned recently, then you will know how much damage has been caused and why we need to really stress the importance of going back. It's like going back to the basics. It's like going back to our roots. It's like knowing ourselves from who we truly are. And that's why I've brought in somebody who believes that history has a critical role to play in forging a true nation that can truly be called a nation in the mold of Nigeria. And so I'd like to welcome Victor Prince Dickson. Welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that kind introduction, and thank you for having me in the studio.
All right. I'm going to ask you to talk about yourself, because when you say you're a human capital engineer, it dazzles me. I don't understand, and I'm sure that so many people may not understand. So, who is Prince? Who is Victor Prince Dickson?
Okay, basically, I always have a background to that, and the background simply is this: if you followed the World Economic Forum, you would have heard things that there are some kind of titles and rules and description that are emerging. Why?
Yeah.
Because challenges are becoming newer, and so you need to create some niche down kind of focus to solving those problems. So in that kind of situation, it means you're going to start having a new approach to managing things. And in the process, that's where you have, you know, a role known as the human capital engineer.
All right.
And then human capital, generally, you know what it means. And basically, it's based on this premise, the premise that there are two kinds of people on planet Earth. Everybody falls into this two group. Either you have what we call human assets, and then you have human liabilities.
Right.
Now, human liabilities are the ones who they take more than they give. So if they enter into a relationship with you, they take more from you than they give you. If they enter into a marriage, they take more from you than they give you. So even if you have them as a nation or as an organization, they take more from the organization than they give the organization. So oftentimes, everywhere look active, but at the end of the day, organizations will fail because the activity does not translate to productivity. It does not translate to growth. However, there was a lot of activities. Then you have the second set of people called the human assets. Human assets are the ones that they take less than they give, which means they give more than they take. So whether in a relationship, whether in an organization, even as a country, you know, nationalist, at the end of the day, they are the ones that decide the productivity, the performance, and the growth of a people. So the work of a human capital engineer is to train and build people so that you can take them from human liabilities to human assets.
All right.
Because generally everybody's born a liability. Everybody.
In the first instance.
In the first instance. That child that comes into the world depends on you. You're the one that needs to get food for them. The mother needs to give the breast milk. So that child depends on things. But it is expected in a proper way that before that child gets to 18, 20, 24, that child becomes a person that brings value to the table. At that point, that child becomes an asset. It begins to contribute to the growth of humanity. But when you have too many liabilities in a system, the system becomes stagnant. The challenge of Nigeria is that we have too many liabilities. And my work is to see how to move people from become liabilities to become human assets.
All right. So that's who a human capital engineer is. All right. And then there's so much more. As an entrepreneur, you're the CEO of Alpha Culture, and that's spelled in a special way, and so on and so forth. Now, just recently, history was returned to the curriculum in the Nigerian system, but before then, for so many years, it had been removed. Do you think that this has had any adverse effect on us as a nation? Definitely.
There's a popular quote I work with which says that if you don't know your history, your future will be a mystery. You need to know when the rain started beating you so that you know where the rain will stop. You need to know where you're coming from so that you know your strength and your weakness. You need to know where you're coming from so that you know your resource base, you know your relationship, and then you can plot. Who plots a direction, a destination without having where you're coming from? You must have a spot before you can plot. The challenge with us as a country is that because we don't have that clarity of where we are coming from, it becomes difficult for us to qualify where we are going to. There are so many discussions about Nigeria, and unfortunately we reduce the discussion of Nigeria to per capita income, to GDP, discuss inflation and the rest of them. It's like you're discussing an entire meaning of a people into stomach infrastructure. Everything is economy. But the major thing, we're talking about meaning. What is the meaning of Nigeria? What does it mean to the people? 230 million people, where are they heading to? Which direction are they going to? Now, presidents will come and go. They only have their own vision. But as a country, we're supposed to have a vision. That vision is the one that decides and accommodates the vision of each president that come. But ideally, collectively, 230 million people should know where Nigeria should be in the next 50 years, in the next 100 years. That clarity should be there. But when there is not that clarity, that's where we have agitation. That's why there are most people who tell you they don't believe in Nigeria. Because in clear terms, where are they heading to? Where are we taking us? Where are we coming from? And you can't decide where we are heading to, except you have clarity of where we are coming from. That is the problem of history.
That is the problem of not teaching history, or
That is
not understanding your
not
history.
understanding history.
All right. Okay, so now that history has come in, does that then mean that we have the magic wand, we have the Bugbonishe,
that will just settle everything at once?
everything?
No. Because history came in as a subject. We have not gotten it yet as an ideology. So
what's the
difference?
What's the difference?
Okay, the difference is this. First, most people look at education as curriculum. No, that's secondary. Education is first and primarily an ideology, a destination. A country sits down and tells its people, the leaders, this is where we want to be in 200 years. Because of that vision, this is the kind of learning, of education, of skills and competence that is required to take us to that vision. Then you build a curriculum. Meaning you have your destination clear, then you build a curriculum that to achieve it. That is how education is designed. Education is not designed, you need to learn maths. That's why at the end of the day, the question is that where are we heading to that we require to learn maths? Where are we heading to that we are required to learn technology? If you don't have that answer, you don't have curriculum. You are just putting things together. So that's why I say we have a challenge first, because we have to first agree as a people. That, for instance, now when you ask the average Nigerian, what is Nigeria? They will start that discourse from 1914. But we were a people before 1914. We were having trade with neighbors before 1914. We had cultures, we had civilization. The Do civilization was one of the best in the world. The No culture was there before 1914. So how do you reduce 230 million people and think that they began from 1914? So we have to first agree, where are we coming from? What's our fault line? Where are we heading to? Then you can now say this history we are bringing to the table is brought so that it can educate the old, the middle and the young. Because my position is simple. The youth, for instance, cannot repair Nigeria. I've said it times without number. What you need to fix Nigeria is you need the repentance and honesty of the old. Then you need the creativity and energy of the young people. Then you need the innocence of the unborn. You have to put all of them together and string it like this, like a movie, before it will work. Why? Because the older ones will tell us where they made mistakes that brought us here. Now, when we have that clarity of where they made the mistake, we now know where the, what you may call the minds are put, all those things that have been causing crisis. Because of their honesty, we now know. Now that we know, there is clarity, because one of the best gifts you can give a people and a person is clarity. So when you give that clarity, the young people now said, okay, fine, this was our mistake. If this is our mistake, let's bring our creativity, let's bring our energy and solve it. But unfortunately, most young people are already middle into the mess up, into the chaos and into the confusion. So they have a minus in the whole structure, no matter the creativity. So you need the unborn, which is the younger, a generation that have not been tainted yet in context, to come and see the clarity of where Nigeria is heading to. Then they begin to dish ideas, creativity and innovation, because at that level they have not been corrupted with all this issue of we are not together, you are from a different culture, you are from a different tribe and the rest of them. And I'll end by saying this. One of the biggest lies Nigerians have been told is that we are different. We are really not much different the way we are told that we're different.
You mean the various groups,
yes,
various ethnic groups?
Yes, they tell us we're really major. I would dare you, tell me exactly what was our difference. The food? Is it the food? If the food is the difference, I can tell you, go to most of the restaurants. You will see non-Yoruba people eating amala more than the Yoruba people. You are going to see non-Efik people eating afang more than them. You see non-Igbo people eating egusi more than the egusi people. So it tells you at the end of the day that whatever our difference was, is a bridge we could have crossed. Check the fashion industry. Do you know why the creative industry is doing well? The creative industry is the only industry in Nigeria so far that have successfully grown above these parochial differences. They don't care. What they know, you're good, come to the table. Your voice is good, come to the table. That's why if you notice of recent, Ashoke can be used to do danshiki, because there's a blend. We have come to realize that truly we're really not different. And the reason why that happened was that the colonialists knew one rule of life, that if you can cause brothers to fight, it's easy for them to become blind and you can take their resources. So they sold a dummy to us that me and you are totally different. We cannot exist together. We cannot cohabit together. We cannot work together. We cannot build a nation together. So you see, everybody, Nigeria is different. Bring them to the table. Let's discuss what exactly is the difference that we cannot live above. What exactly?
And to lend some this thing to what you have just said, you find out that when Nigerians go outside of this country, they are all Nigerian. Nobody begins to ask where you're
asks
from.
You.
Once you say you're a Nigerian, there's a bond.
You just blend.
Yes.
That's to tell you somebody sold a dummy to us. Unfortunately, our political class, most of them, pick on that dummy. They use it for their warfare. Anytime they want to do politics, fight with each other, they remind us that you're from the south, you're from the north, you're from the east. So at the end of the day, we fight and divide. And the rule simply is always, anytime you can make brothers to fight, you can always steal from them. Because they'll be more focused in fighting, they won't see the resources they have. They won't see the commonalities. They won't see the relationship. Even the differences, they won't see how they can work it out. Because you are busy fighting. You are explaining it. You are amplifying the differences. Rather than say, come closer. Where exactly is the challenge? What can we work out? It is the creative industry that did that well. And that's why you see they are soaring high. They are doing very well. Until we get that at a general level. That was why I say ideological base. Because if it is ideological, it cannot be only in the classroom as a curriculum. National Orientation Agency will be talking about the need for history. They will be reminding everyone that, look, there's time for you to understand how far we come, where we are coming from, the relationship we have before now. They will remind you about the Nok culture. They will remind you about everything that has to do with a Do culture. They will remind you about things, beautiful things about this country. But are they doing that? No. So that's why I'm saying that it is only a curriculum, not yet an ideology. It is when you have that ideology, you can now mobilize everybody, because every arm of the government will work very hard to make sure we remember where we are coming from, we understand where we are, and then we can know where we are heading to.
All right, for some people, some Nigerians feel that revisiting history or going down memory lane could lead us to a situation where you are like opening old wounds. How do you read that?
Well, I think most times we have to put things in context. These are people who oftentimes have a challenge about having people get to know what they have done in the past. Rwanda, for instance, one of the strengths of Rwanda, a lot of people talk about Rwanda today, but what people don't understand that the strength of Rwanda is what they call forgiveness theory, the forgiveness principle. When they had the Tutsi and the Hutsi war, you know, there's a lot of deaths that happened and the rest of them. Yeah. So there was a lot of wounds. There were a lot of real pain on the table. But one of the things that Rwanda did is that they brought a new principle that most political scientists have not really seen. They used forgiveness to forge their country together. They brought people together and reminded each other where one group wronged another group, but they asked for forgiveness. It is that forgiveness that allowed them to integrate together, and today Rwanda is doing well. So you want to tell me, if we have grievances as a family, that we cannot sit down, look ourselves in the face and discuss that grievances, who will now tell me that sweeping those grievances under the table will make a better relationship? No. You are just keeping time bomb here and there. You're just sowing discords here and there, because there's nobody that has actually successfully gone forward from injustice. Look at it, call it by name what it is. At most, appeal for forgiveness. But at the end of the day, we have to go back, look at ourselves in the face and discuss. Painful discussion. I teach emotional intelligence. It is called difficult conversation. Look at each other in the face, even if it means through tears. Tell each other, we are sorry. I personally believe that there needs to be a forgiveness conference, that every part of this country must apologize one to another, because there are parts for which we failed each other in the process of building this country. Everybody, no exception. And so if you have that collective hold to the concept of forgiveness, what is it that happened in the past that we cannot overlook? And then we'll move forward. But sweeping it under the carpet, that is a lie.
So, talking about forgiveness and talking about bringing people together, don't you think that what Obasanjo did during his regime by setting up the Oputa panel probably achieved a lot on that score?
Yeah, you cannot take away what Oputa panel did. Up to today, a lot of people make reference to Oputa panel. But you see, there is a difference between an event. There's a difference between an event and a lifestyle. that was an event that has happened, but we did not follow it up. There were some recommendations that the Oputa panel made. Did we live on it? We didn't follow it through. So oftentimes, it's not the events. I'm not a strong believer of events. Part of what we do, I don't know whether you've heard this quote by Peter Drucker, one of the best, management scientists. Also. He will always say that, what do you call it? Culture eats strategy for breakfast. And I've added another quote to that. Emotions eat intelligence for lunch. Now, if you balance that in context, what that means, therefore, is that you must learn to understand a way of life, a people mindset can destroy any form of strategy you put on the table if they don't match or if they are not in harmony. So the challenge for me is that Oputa panel did so well, did a recommendation, but it has not been followed. And after Oputa panel, what next? What are the processes that have been put in place to make sure that whatever level of understanding of openness that came on from the Oputa panel, how has it been followed? It has not been followed. A lot of people push after that. Eventually, the closest thing we have closest to that was a confab. But even the confab report, do we truly have it? No. It has not been implemented in context. So at the end of the day, I see it as an event, not a culture, an ideology, and a way of life that has continuity. And if you don't have continuity in a thing, you will not see result.
If you don't have continuity in a thing, you will not see results. You need to have a spot before you can plot.
That's the idea.
That's one of the things that you have also said. And then let's now, if we go down memory lane concerning our nation, Nigeria, there have been some terrible things that happened. We have had the Civil War. We have had some community blotted out of anger. We have had people punished unduly, and so on and so forth. So you're saying to me that if you begin to revisit these matters, people who are connected to those incidents will not get more infuriated and inflamed and relive the scenarios in their minds again, and that will not likely lead to a conflagration?
No, it wouldn't, because where we are is more than a conflagration. Where we are presently,
already.
We're already in it. Fine. There's a lot of crisis. A lot of people are wondering why most people don't believe in Nigeria, why most people are antagonistic towards a particular tribe, or why they are very, very crisis driven towards a particular environment. If you're not willing to go deeper down to find out why, how will you make the peace? I teach, peace, conflict, and,
conflict resolution.
Yes, mediation and the rest of them. You do not lie to make justice. You cannot lie to make peace. You cannot build peace on top of injustice. It doesn't work. That's part of the problem. Some of the people that are against it, believe you me, are the guilty ones. I can tell you without fear of evil. They are anytime you hear anybody take that position, that person is guilty. It's like saying, you say, I don't know what I've heard this thing, they said that anytime you mention dry bones, the old woman there is feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
That's the problem with most of the people who have issues with that. Because immediately those discussions are made, their roles will come up. And then you get to realize the people who position themselves as elder statesmen played a very dangerous role in dislocating Nigeria's egos. And that is their fear for people to go that. And I believe the younger ones are going to dare that thing, go to make those questions. Because the truth of the matter is that there have been a lot of issues. For instance, now, a lot of people look at the Middle Belt. If you don't understand, for example, the Usman Danfodio movement, entirely, you really will not understand what has happened around the Middle Belt. There are things you need to understand. You need to understand the Aro Confederacy to understand the makeup of what you call the Omaya group, and then the Akwa Ibom area and the Axis. You need to know. You need to understand the Shein War to understand certain background that has been there. You need to understand as far back even to the Lagos War to understand what you call the Europeans actually did to the Lagos Oba that subdued the Oba. You need to understand things that happened in Edo and how they were broken. All those things. You need to understand the entire process that makes up the people that have come out today. And that is why you see people easily still hold tight to those environments. Because you see, there are traumas that has not been healed. There are pains that have not been settled. There are sincerity we have not looked at each other in the face and told each other. It's not about fighting each other. It's just reminding you that, look, one way or the other, your grandfather was responsible for the pain I'm going through. He doesn't take anything. The best you can do is that I am sorry. I really am not part of it. But now that I'm aware of it, I'm going to be a little bit careful with my words and with my actions about it. That is what reconciliation is all about. Now, immediately you understand all this, you can take it one thing after the other, and then you'll be able to do it. Why are we afraid of it? There's a lot that happened. Unfortunately, most people will tell you Nigerian Civil War. Nigerian Civil War is nothing compared to what happened in the past. I've done a lot of work within that field, and I can tell you, there's a lot of interboundary, inter-ethnic war that are simmering, that has been there before 1914. So whatever happened in 1960, 1914 going forward, and the 1960s, all of them, they stood on what already happened earlier on to become, explosive. So if we are not able to understand them, how then can we know how to make peace? How then can I know how to relate with you? Look, my confidence is that even the young people of this generation, they have a large heart. They have a large heart. That's why, for instance, you're seeing people in the north, many people from the east, because they've gotten to the point, look, we have issues, or our parents may have issues, but let's sit down and see how we can work it out. But you see, when you're dealing with the older ones who don't want the skeletons to be open, they start telling you if you open it, it will kill us. I rather, any sensible person knows it makes sense more for us to open the wound, clean it up, treat it very well, and then move on.
And then it gets healed.
And then it gets healed, rather than pretend as if nothing is happening.
While the wound festers.
While the wound is festering. The wound is causing division, it's causing pain, suspicion. It's causing so much historical antagonism. Yet you say, let's pretend No, now. Except for those who are not sincere about it.
All right. Even as we talk about several memories that are not too positive, do we have positive memories that Nigeria can also relish and use to encourage the forging of the nation?
Beautiful. That's part of the beauty of history, because if you really look at history very well, what history does is that it exposes you to the good, the bad, the ugly. But unfortunately, people who are guilty about history see history only as the ugly part. No. What history does is that it has a place of strengthening your relationship to understand, we are far, we have history to this thing. There's a relationship to this thing. There's a lot. Like I said, one of the major challenges of the average Nigerian today is that we don't have something too positive to talk about Nigeria. And that has been our pain. And I always use Edo very well, because everybody did well, but I use Edo as my contact point, in the sense that anybody who knows the Edo Empire, everybody knows the Chinese, the Chinese War. Edo had a better wall than the Chinese War. Technology, architecture, Edo had something better. But even those who are from Edo State don't know it. That's what I'm saying. So these are the things that if they get to know it, they become proud of it. How many Nigerians have invented and created ideas that rule the world today? But Nigerians don't know about it. These are what the advocacy of history is all about. Remind us, model us, because one of the challenge of young people is that they want to see samples so that they know who to believe or who want to mentor them. But we have a system where we don't have models from the past that could tell us so much about people that have done, great warriors who had philosophies. I had an opportunity to, interview one of the great men in this country. And then he told me that where they come from, one of their leadership model was that immediately you become a king, you cannot eat salt. Because they want you, anytime you eat food and you taste it tasteless, you're supposed to remember that your subjects have not eaten. Beat it down and tell you where is the best leadership structure you can get from that. But we don't know. So when we're discussing leadership quotes, you must go to Abraham Lincoln. You must go to people outside the country. When we're discussing ideas, innovation that can build the world, when Rwanda wanted to solve their problem, they went back to themselves. Asked, there's what they call the justice system. They had a local justice system. I've forgotten the name now. It is what they imported to solve Rwanda problem. There are answers to every Nigerian problem, innovation, creativity-wise, ideological-wise, leadership-wise. They are embedded in some of the practical things our parents did. All we need to do is bring it out and apply it, upgrade it with the knowledge we have now, and we'll get results. But if you don't do history, how do you know it? And if you don't know it, how can you use it to make a better nation?
All right. So if you don't know it, how do you use it? I mean, you cannot give what you don't have. Isn't that so?
That's the idea.
All right. So we now know that history is a total package of the good, the bad, the ugly. So it behoves of us not to emphasize only the negatives
At all.
So if we're to present history, it should be presented.
It has to be
in a balanced-
collectively, yes,
right.
because that's the only way you can strengthen us. So that when we understand where our mistakes are, we also know where our strengths are. We now have to improve the strength and then reduce the mistakes. If you can't see history, that's why I said it has to be ideological. It has to be something that the presidency embraced beyond we're teaching the younger people. The older people, some of them don't even know history, with all due respect.
Even in
some
spite
of them,
their age.
yeah, they don't know history. Presently, I can tell you, it's challenging for me. I've been invited into a project called the Center of Nigeria. I've asked, even those in government, at the level of ministers, directors, most of permanent secretaries, most of them don't know the center of Nigeria. Nigeria has the center where every part of Nigeria is equidistant to that place. So in a way, it's supposed to be a geographical and a spiritual spot. It's supposed to be a heritage center. How dare you serve Nigeria and you don't know such a place? So if you don't know this our center, where do you know where we are plotting to? That's the problem.
All right, so where's the center?
The center, funny. Katampe is here.
Katampe Hills.
Katampe is here.
So you see that we're special. I mean, Kaftan TV.
No, there's no doubt about it. I think there's a need for Kaftan TV to actually explore that place more and educate. Because to be honest with you, I think if Nigeria could understand that such a place exists, they may start seeing that we have a starting point. Then we can now progress.
Move.
Because the truth is that I believe we need to teach Nigerians on how to be Nigerians. Because my logic, I'm understanding my journey is that we need to build Nigerians that will build Nigeria.
How do you mean? What
Meaning
does that mean?
is that most time we expect people to come outside Nigeria to help Nigeria. We need to build people who see Nigeria as a destination, who see it as something worth investing their time, their energy, their creativity. People who are passionate about Nigeria. But you can't insist on them to be patriotic when you don't give them a direction. That's where we get it wrong. You cannot insist on people to love Nigeria, and yet the Nigeria don't look as if it loves them. So there's a problem. So we have to teach people what it takes to become a Nigerian. If you let them understand what it means to be a Nigerian, you have to give them clarity. You need to give them vision. You need to give them inclusivity. You need to give them belonging. When they believe in Nigeria enough, you will see creativity. 230 million people, when they pour their creativity, their energy, their belief system into this country, we will build this country. I can tell you without fear, or doubt. But the issue is that most people don't believe. Most people are actually waiting to travel. Anyone that's not traveled yet is just waiting.
To travel.
They're just waiting. I said, I will be managing. Even in government, let me be managing. When the opportunity comes, they move. So at the end of the day, those kind of people cannot invest in the process. And if you cannot invest in a place, the place cannot grow.
All right. If you cannot invest in a place, the place cannot grow. Now, you've said a whole lot within such a short space of time. And I'm wondering, is it all rhetorics? Is there something practical that we can do about what we currently have in Nigeria?
Yeah. For instance, that's why I started the National Cake Campaign.
All right.
Yeah, personally, that's why I started. Because if you reduce all of Nigeria's challenge to one language, one word, it will be national cake. Yes, and I'll explain to you the origin first. You remember when we finished the Civil War, Gowon started a project that the 3 R's. Right. Where we have the rehabilitation, reconstruction, and then reintegration. Then in the process, he made a comment, and that's actually where the challenge began. He said that people should not really be bothered about the rising cost of things and the challenges and everything, that we have enough resources. We have enough money. The problem is how to judiciously use it and allocate it.
Did he put judiciously?
Yes. But eventually, at the end of the day,
that was omitted.
They now took the judicious away and then put the word how to spend it. And so what that cut across to most people now became, Nigeria has resources.
More just
eat it.
More
just be eating this thing. So that was how we ate ourselves into debt. Because somehow it became a way of life. Let's just eat and consume. So National Cake now became an invitation to come and chop. And everything generally in building Nigeria is actually designed around national cake. The concept of what you call geopolitical zones, designed around national cake, is a concept that says, look, calm down, one people will be eating. When they are finished eating, your turn will come. The whole concept of what you call the political parties you have today is designed around national cake too. So it's like whatever it is, this party are the one featuring this person, and they are featuring based on zoning. So the zoning also is not based on skill and competence. This is our turn. And that's the reason why we don't deal with meritocracy. Because in context, this is my turn to eat. Do I need an expert to eat? No. I don't need an expert.
I don't need you.
I don't need you, so relax. You might be good, but stay where you're lane. It is our turn to eat. When we finish eating, when it's your turn, you eat. That's why we can't even have opposition. Because if opposition starts too much, they will tell you, look, calm down. When you get your turn, eat your own thing. So at the end of the day, we have democratized the whole concept. So much so that even if you go to government offices, that's the one that pains me the most. In fact, the way I put it is that Nigerians pay people to rape her. That's how Nigeria put it. And I will explain to you why. You have people in government who do not believe in Nigeria. They carry the passport of Nigeria. Nigeria is paying their salary. They go to trips because of Nigeria, but they don't believe in Nigeria. Can you beat that? Can you beat that kind of complication?
What makes you think there can be such?
They say it. Meet most of them. They will tell you
a warped.
That's
a warped personality.
But that's the problem. That's why we are where we are. Meet most of them. They will tell you, leave this thing. Let's just be doing. They are in Nigeria, collecting salary from Nigeria, carrying Nigerian passport, enjoying all the goodies that come with Nigeria, but they tell you they don't believe in Nigeria. That's why people like that can't make effort to bring value to the table. Even if you go to their offices, you will hear them use certain words that are very peculiar to them. I want to help you. Because they don't see you as, look, we are building a country. It's like I have an opportunity. So if you come, let me see if I can cut a little cake for you. Even if you like, bring the best idea in the world. Very few people have that sanity. So that's what I'm trying to tell you, that the entire background, that mindset has gradually, I teach the human mind. That's one of my forte. That's one of my strengths. Because if you're building human capital, you must be able to understand a person's mind and understand their emotions and how they work, so that you'll be able to guide and galvanize them to become very productive and to perform. So at the end of the day, we study how the human mind works. Collectively as a people, that is our weakness as a people. That identity crisis between I am in a place, I will benefit from the place, but I don't believe in the place. It causes a crisis. The crisis of, you really cannot pour in because you don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But what is available, we have to eat it.
Let's eat it first.
And that's why you can get progress. So you put somebody in the office and a budget comes. He's not seeing how to translate that budget to development. He's not seeing how to translate that budget to growth. What can I eat from this budget? That's the question. So at the end of the, only few people are a little bit different in this field who are very passionate about, look, this country must work. That's why people don't forget someone like Dora. It was practical now. You will see that this woman wanted this country to move forward. When you see people who have that, it shows in what they do. But the people who don't have will be telling you stories, Nigeria, there's not enough money in Nigeria, because they are not committed to progressing the country. Because when you're committed to progressing, you start looking out for creativities and ideas that will build the nation. You start hunting for people, irrespective of age, tribe. Because at that point, what are you looking for? Solutions. So I don't care that you're from a Yoruba land. I don't care you're Igbo. What I know is that we are looking for answers to build this country. So immediately you get to that level, you cannot be tribalistic anymore, because you are out to provide solution. But as long as you have the mindset of consumption, it is our turn to eat now. So Mr. Dayo, why are you coming to come and short our cake? Allow us eat our cake. So that was what I felt was the first thing that we need to do. Change that mindset from seeing national cake as a consumption to see national cake as a shared value, shared responsibility. To be honest, that has become my mindset. I succeed in achieving that. I know I've helped Nigeria. For Nigerians to change their mind from come and eat to you will eat, but let us bake the cake first. After baking, then you eat.
Not just come and eat.
No. Bake first. You can't,
because it is what is baked.
It is what you bake we can eat. That's why we ate ourselves into debt. We were eating, we were not working. We were eating. We're not developing economy. We're not looking at every other sector. What we knew that there was oil boom and there was money. So be eating it. We ate it. We didn't pay attention to education. We didn't pay attention to, entrepreneurship and all of them. We didn't pay attention to vocation, agriculture. We didn't pay attention to it because we were busy eating, cutting the cake, eating. Now reality dawned on us that we have eaten ourselves into debt. And everybody's just looking around wondering what has happened to us. It's not a mistake. And that's why I'm hoping that at this level now, we can bring orientation to people to understand that was what brought us this far. So if you want to go truly forward, then must be that mindset shift that moves us from consumption to shared responsibility. You want a good Nigeria? Let's work it together.
So that's how you came about the national cake.
That was why I went after the name National Cake. And not only going after the name National Cake, what I actually did was that as a title of the project, it's called National Cake. But I also know that one of the greatest challenge of a people is that there's a level people become so, what do you call it now? So ignorant. They become comfortable in ignorance. That's when you hear things like people tell you ignorance is bliss. And people get so comfortable, they become masters of ignorance. So even when you bring knowledge for them, they fight it back. So I wanted to teach. I wanted people to understand history. So what I did was, what I named the project was National Cake, but at the end of the day, what I wanted to do was to make sure people understand the history of Nigeria so that they can track our mistakes, track our strength, track our weaknesses. Then we can be very clear and precise on what we are improving upon. And that was what I did, was I put together 160 events and policy that has shaped Nigeria from 1800 to 2025. You probably
will need a master class to do this.
Well, I have to. This is a work of 10 years.
All right.
So it took me good time.
So how do you intend to now push this narrative? Just before that, because you mentioned Dora Akunyili. Now, do we have a few other persons that you think also caught that kind of image?
Yes, I have.
Because at a time like this, that we intend to rebuild, we definitely need national examples. Yes.
There's one Mrs. I think is the minister of
current.
She's currently, she has Dora Akunyili kind of personality. Straightforward, why did I miss the name? A little bit far from Lagos.
From Lagos?
Yeah, I think, also. She's one of the people that will be at the forefront of ease of doing business.
Yeah.
You will know her.
Is it Odu something?
Yes, he goes, that's the name. I wish, why is the name escaping my, but you understand what I mean, yes. She doesn't have that fierceness of, Dora Akunyili, but in terms of personality, discipline, disposition, she has it. She's more concerned about competence, skill, delivery, move the country forward. We have that. But the question, like I said, we have more human liabilities than we have human assets. And that is what I'm hoping that we achieve. That by now getting people who fall within that kind of category, celebrate them, improve them, put them at the forefront. Let people know that there are people that can succeed in Nigeria without breaking corners. Because one of the major challenges most young people are finding difficult to understand is this. You see, making money in Nigeria is not a problem. Anybody who tell you making money is a problem? No. The major problem is that can you make the money in Nigeria as a honest person? Can you make money in Nigeria as a truthful person? That's what the young people are finding without cutting corners. Will you make money in Nigeria without selling yourself and your conscience short? That's where the challenge is. Thank you. That's where the challenge is. That's where. And that's why I push a project called the Human Margin Process, which is what? I'm asking everyone who cares to listen and everybody watching us, for every 1 million you have in your account, how many persons did you break? How many people did you cause to cry? How many people did you embarrass to make that money? How many persons did you cheat to make that 1 million? Because in context, value financially, in terms of paper, it might be 1 million. But if there are so much tears and pain attached to that 1 million, it's no longer 1 million again. Because there's a lot of pains attached to it. That's the challenge. Most people who have pushed forward in Nigeria are those who have climbed the ladder, breaking certain rules and principles. So they don't look like the normal people. So the young people are confused. You tell them not to steal, but the people they see you celebrate steal.
Steal.
You tell them not to cut corners, but the people you're keeping and giving offices They cut corners. So there is that crisis of identity. Be honest. No, it will not take you far. So that's the struggle we are in now. So until there is that mindset shift, bringing models that look like the kind of people that are supposed to be Nigerians, we fight, and we have a very big youth group, So until we have that clarity, it becomes very difficult. And that's why I'm surprised that people like National Orientation Agency are not in every station shouting and helping everybody understand. They need for us to understand where we are coming from. They need to change our mindset. They need to understand Nigeria. They need to understand what's our destination. Where will we be in the next 100 years? So that people can know what they're investing in. Because even in a relationship that don't have direction, think about it. Do you think you will invest in it? You won't now.
Wow. So let's talk about, so you developed the national cake.
Yes, national cake, yeah. What national cake? Basically,
where's the cake? You didn't bring part of it? I also want to chop.
I brought it, but I think it's by the side there.
Oh, is that what you were clutching with you?
Yes, that's what I was carrying when I came in, yes. Okay. The national cake. It's a box, actually. And what is inside the box, like I said, is 160 history of the event and also the policy that have shaped Nigeria from 1800. Because Nigeria has started far back before 1800, but I couldn't cover everything. So I decided to pick from that 200 years, just so that we understand how good we were, the kind of clothes, the science we have, the things we have, the good and bad and ugly, all of them are inside there. And also I did something very
so like
specific.
Simplifying history.
Yes, because at the end of the day, you have to simplify something complex, otherwise young people will not learn it. I have to look for because you see, in learning, part of what human capital engineering means is that you must learn how to develop a learning formula to make people learn, because each generation have their unique way of learning. So if you don't know how to temper learning with each generation, then you'll be deceiving yourself. You think you bring what looks good to one generation, but the other generation will not fancy it, so you will lose. And one of the things we found out is that the most consistent learning formula that has worked for millions of years is play. People play and they learn. But why is it so? It's because people can be embarrassed during play. It's not a big deal. People don't feel ashamed because they fail when they are playing. So it's like a relaxed place where they bring down their biases, bring down all those ego, sensitivity. You are laughing. But as you are laughing, lessons are learned. Improve on it and play. So that's what I did, and I made a game out of all what I've shared. And I forgot to add that what also I did was that I created a model for a vision, because like I said, the worst thing you can give anybody is to help people not to understand where they are going to. You're killing them. So in order to do that, what I now did was I created what I call scenarios that will happen in Nigeria from 2025 to 2075. So 50 years. Okay, 50 years. 50 years of possibilities of what can make Nigeria a better country. Why? Because I want people to see what is possible. And what did I do in part of it is that I inserted the first female president. If I tell you how many people have called me because of that today, the first female president. And what did I do for? Just to let the people know that, look, men have all their capacity and skills. We will not disrespect men because we want to encourage women. But we cannot allow the light of the man also dim the opportunity that the woman also can do. So what any woman that have the capacity to bring something to the table, please bring it on. I have women today that have told me that they have picked that year and they are going to work towards it. And I'm working in partnership with them what can we do to get to that point.
That's some kind of simulation.
Simulation is part of what we do.
All right,
because you have to simulate to know what is possible and what is not possible.
So what year did you think,
39.
2039,
yeah.
That's 14 years from now.
Yes, I think 2039, yes. 14 years. This year, next year, yes. I think, yes.
14 years.
14 years. 2039, that's what we put it. And we're still arguing. Some are saying, no, not possible. I said, well, but the smarter one are saying, Victor, what did you see? Is it possible we can do it? And don't forget, I have a platform called Alpha Women Academy. And so I understand women. I do coaching for women too. So I understand women a lot to some extent. I understand their level of capacity. So with the discussion I'm having, it's very practical.
So there are some women who will take you up on that and say, why are we having to wait till 2039 when There's 2027 right by the corner.
You see,
There's
that's the issue.
2031.
Yeah, because in human capital development, you don't just design things simply because you wish based on emotions. There are certain parameters and premise you need to look on ground. You have to look at about the electoral reforms and the rest. What and what is being worked. You have to look at the people who are coming to the electoral field. What's the education like? You also look at the encouragement within the woman field to come into the place of poverty, politics. You have to consider all those dynamic units to be able to say, okay, if this and this is put in place, it is possible for us to have it here. So it wasn't an emotional date. It was very scientific, based on patterns, principles, and positions.
Wow. All right, my dear viewers, I think that we will want to just take a breath of air and get back after that breather. Yes. Welcome back. You're still on to The Polity, and it's coming to you live from the Abuja studio of Kaftan Television. My name is Dayo Omogun. I've had with me in the last about 50 or 55 minutes, about 1 hour, my guest in the person of Victor Prince Dickson. This man is not likely a Nigerian, because how can you be Victor? Now only you be Victor, you be Prince. You can't be Dickson. You don't get.
There's a history to that.
Which part of the country are you from?
I'm from Akwa Ibom State. There's a history to that. Yeah.
Then you should have something like.
My name is Anyekan.
Anyekan.
I missed it into my document. The issue was that there was a challenge somewhere, so I had to change something for my document, and I can't go back again. So that I don't have document problems.
Yes.
That's really, in fact, all my children.
Anyekan.
None of my children is answering an English name. That's on it.
All right, now, so we make progress. So that's the game you were talking about.
Yes.
Box.
Yes. This is just the box.
Right.
What actually, like I said, I did was put down 160 events and policies that actually influence Nigeria coming thus far, and then I put it here. So you see all of them listed here. And the plan for me is that, hoping that as people go through it, through games and play, they start learning these things and start committing, to it. That way we'll be able to understand the good, the bad, and ugly we spoke about.
You talked about listing 160 events, is it?
Yes, and policies.
Yes,
that has influenced Nigeria and the rest of them.
Give us an insight to a few.
Okay, for instance, the popular one I like using, because I'm very particular about that one too, is, for instance, when you talk about the Usman Danfodio movement.
Right.
Why that is very concerning is because you're discussing with the Middle Belt. A lot of things have been happening around the Middle Belt environment. Does it have any direct effect to that movement? You understand the fraction, the challenges, and the entire corridor of movement. We have to look at that. You're looking at the Shein War, for instance, where you're looking at, I don't know if you've heard this name they call Operation Wait Here. Yeah, most people don't know what Wait Here is all about, to even understand the challenge that came entirely from that. And I'm also looking at something even as far back as looking at the Calabar War, the war, the Ogoni land, and the rest of them. This is a little bit, contemporary for, people our age and the rest of them. Yeah. But you have to go back to the point of the UAC, for instance. For me, that's one of the most critical part of what I did. The UAC, for instance, we know it as a shopping complex, right? But you need to understand it was the UAC that, if you look at the entire generation, the third UAC, the first, second UAC are the one that supervise the buying and selling of what you call Nigeria today. And that's why sometimes some people tell you Nigeria was bought. But there was a process about it. The Berlin Conference, the whole thing that brought to what you call the Northern and Southern Protectorate.
Hold on, I'm sure there will be Nigerians who are interested in this. Please do join us. You have perspectives to share, you have questions to ask, you have some value to add. The number is usually 08029938365. Maybe that's too fast. 08029938365. And so please do call in right away. We will pick your call so that we can do this together. This Nigerian has put together a game that he thinks can foster unity, can foster a better orientation, can stir up patriotism, passion, a love for country, and heal some of these wounds that are refused to heal because maybe we're not going about it the appropriate way. It's simplify the problem into a game. It says we play and then we learn.
That's right.
In actual fact, just to say, some years back, there was this program that was sponsored by USAID, LEAP project. I was part of it, where we had a radio acting show, and I was Baba Ibrahim. I remember that the theme of that program was learning is fun. Learning is fun. So the moment you make learning fun, it
becomes normal.
It flows easily.
Natural. Yeah.
Yes. So okay. So if you're there, please let's have you call in 08029938365. Now, so while waiting for your calls, we will need to move ahead and see how far we can put all of this together. Now, so what do you think? What impact do you think this can really make? Do you see this changing the narrative, and how do you intend to push this?
Yeah, the universe is not nice to ignorance. So the first thing you need to do, if you
it's
want
not nice to ignorance.
Yes, anybody who is ignorant, you become a victim.
To any ignoramus.
Anybody that suffers anything suffers because they are ignorant of the thing. That's how the universe is designed. It's not nice to anybody who is ignorant. And unfortunately, one of the challenges of Nigeria is that Nigerians are ignorant about Nigeria. And so because you don't know, and that's why someone will come, give you a manifesto, you can't even track where it's coming from. Make you promises, you can't even track where they are coming from. Tell you that they are together. One of the weaknesses we have as a people is that we have political parties who don't have ideologies. That's why it's easy for people to wake up one morning and then they cross, because there's no ideology. Ideology is like a lane, it keeps you there. Even though you have disagreement, the key is that this is my belief system, this is how it translates to development, this is how it translates to economy. So if you have that clarity, you can't be jumping. So it's not about...
So even if we shake,
no, you can't jump because your belief system, you can't jump. But because you don't have that ideology, that's the challenge. That's why for me, because the work of, I'm into problem solving, and there are 3 kinds of problem you must understand, and Nigeria suffers more from the third one. The first problem is what we call basic problem. Then we have another kind of problem called complex problem. Then we have the third one called wicked problem. Wicked problem. And wicked problem simply means when the person that's supposed to be the solution is the problem. For instance, if you have an accountant general stealing the money from Nigerian Post, that's a problem. Because this is the person that is supposed to supervise it. If you have a father molesting a daughter, then that's a problem. Because the father is supposed...
That's what kind of problem?
Wicked problem. That's why it's the most difficult. Now, Nigeria's major problem is what you call the wicked problem, in the sense that at the point everybody was quarreling that our problem was build rail line, build train. You build it for Nigerians. Nigerians went behind. Some Nigerians went behind and told the plates that makes the rail. At the end of the day, Nigerians are suffering. At a point, the reason why the road is not doing very well is because we don't have drainage system. So if you can do drainage system, good manhole and the rest of them, you put it, you wake up in the morning, Nigerians have stolen
the manhole
covers. So you get to realize that anything you think to build, Nigerians steal it. Some, definitely not all, steal it. So at the end of the day, now becomes you are developing, but because Nigerians, most of them are not developed in their mind, they don't believe in the direction, they don't believe in the destination. Any effort you put, they steal from it. People will tell you policy. Bring all the policy Nigeria has put together on the table. Bring it. And I'll explain to you how it works. You appoint somebody in office. Give them a paper. Give them a budget. Okay, there are young Nigerians that need to be empowered. Give them money just so that they can build and become creative. The person you put in charge steal the part of the money. How will the people get access to it? You say you want to develop agriculture. You put and invest money there. So at the end of the day, you now realize that
this is a very serious matter.
But it's so that you understand the depth of it. This is a very
serious matter, because I also do know, and this is terrible. It's small, but it's not small. Where you have teachers stealing from their students.
Now you understand what that means.
Vulnerable children. Vulnerable children bring food to school, and in the process of maybe just saying they are sampling, they are tasting, and they have eaten half of the food, or the spoons, they probably see, oh, this spoon is beautiful, and the child does not know anything, and then you take the spoon. Those kind of things.
National cake.
So when we begin to point fingers, we really need to look at ourselves.
That is why.
Because how do you steal from a vulnerable child?
No, then that means you don't know the power of a broken person. Broken people steal even from themselves.
Well, this is serious.
It is. It is. That's why they say, let's pretend over our problem. I know that you're dealing with people who are not sincere. We have problems. Those problems has caused stress. It has caused trauma. It has broken families. It has broken people's dream. And you don't want to handle the things that broke them, because you see, broken people break systems. It's the
break
rule.
others.
Anything they see, they break. So a teacher that is broken, that entered into teaching not because they really want to teach,
not because they love children.
They never love children. They are not interested in teaching, but they just suffered. Maybe after NYC is like, well, the only thing who can survive. Don't forget that most schools don't even pay teachers well. So let's just manage and be there. So out of anger, bitterness, they are there. What do you think they will do to the children? That's why some of us believe some of these things cannot work, because you bring a teacher that don't understand creativity, innovation, you bring a teacher that don't have capacity to envision things, and you tell that teacher to teach young people to build, they can't build. This is a teacher that's not built, that don't understand what it takes to build. Out of frustration, the teacher finds himself or herself in a teaching environment. That's anger, that's trauma. They have to transfer it on the children.
Well, I do not know where all my viewers have gone. So Dudu, you probably are not in Nigeria, are you? Mohammed from Maiduguri, I'm waiting to hear from you, and lots more like that. I hope that we're not having challenges with the network, because I do know that there are Nigerians who are very passionate about Nigeria, like you, who call in all the time. Abubakar from Gwagwalada, I hope that we can hear from you, and several others. Ola hardly calls in the afternoon, so maybe in the evening. Now, so as we begin to, because we're already just about 10 minutes away, or 13 or 15. So, do you think that the situation is redeemable?
Extremely. My work as a human capital, engineer has taught me one thing clearly. God creates, the society manufactures. And so if we decide to manufacture Nigerians who will believe in the country, bring their best on the table, Nigeria will be fixed. But we can't start that manufacturing process except we have the audacity to tell each other the truth. We have to start telling each other the truth. That's why personally for me now, if we're discussing the growth of Nigeria, and then I see any elderly person come there and tell me it's not possible, I will say, please, sir, with due respect, please leave the road. If you don't know how it can be fixed, please, at least be honorable enough.
Totally.
Just leave the space now, let's fix it. Because you cannot not know how we can fix Nigeria, and yet you are still occupying a place that we need to fix Nigeria. Excuse us now, let's fix Nigeria. Let people who know how to solve problems, let people who are passionate and truthful about the country take steps. Then you see Nigeria will be fixed. Nigeria doesn't have so much of a big problem. The issue is that we are so used to hypocrisy and lies for so long that we don't know how to, tell ourselves the truth. But my confidence is that there is a new tribe emerging now, men and women from different parts of the world who are learning how to look at people in the face, tell them the truth. Maiduguri, you see them. Igbo people, you see them. You go to Lagos, you see them. Middle Belt. They are coming from everywhere. They are coming from, in fact, I need to say this so that you understand the importance and the urgency of fixing Nigeria. Ghana is telling us, Nigeria, we need to pack our things and go. Now, the background I don't want to go into because of time. Ukraine that Nigerians used to go to before, they are in war. Russia, no space for Nigeria. Israel, Iran, not so much space because of the challenges that are going there. In UK, they are saying, look, immigrants, pack your property, go back. In the US, racism is getting crazier. You go to Canada, everywhere is getting crazy. So if you look at Qatar, they say we shouldn't be coming again. Dubai says, okay, there's a particular family and the amount of money we must have before we come in. So generally, look as if Nigeria is no longer comfortable. The whole world is no longer comfortable harboring Nigeria. So what do you think will happen? more Nigerians will start coming back. But they are coming back with frustration.
Unless Nigerians are able to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are coming back with frustration. They are coming back with anger. Then here already, you have people who are frustrated. Young people finishing service, the direction is not very clear. You come out of school and you're feeling, okay, I needed to have a first class, but they tell you, sorry, you don't have somebody that can call and make a connection for you. So even though if you're good, you can't have access to the office, you cannot be, absorbed in employment. You just need to have somebody that can pave a way for you. So at the end of the day, you have young Nigerians too who are angry. So if you put this together, it's like we're dealing with what I call a combustible environment. People are getting very frustrated. So if we don't find a direction for Nigeria, we are playing with fire. And most of the older ones, they know. They are playing with fire, sincerely. And the fire will not be funny. There's no country in the world where you have close to 100 million young people enter the street and the country will survive. It wouldn't. Angry young people enter into the street, it wouldn't be funny. Whatever we like, let us build. Whatever the skill, vocation we are building, no. As much as I have respect for skills, vocation, as an entrepreneur, I understand the importance. But we must give Nigerians belonging. A sense of direction. A vision must be clear. Otherwise, what is ahead of us is not fun.
Well, I do hope that what is ahead of us will not be that bad to consumers. Well, when you say well, what does well...
Well simply means is that if we lie to ourselves, we'll see it. But if we are honest enough to ask ourselves honest question to know that how many persons do we have that are out of school? How many young persons don't have work to do? I mean reasonable work, not the people that are patching one or the other just to survive. You understand? How many young Nigerians, how many Nigerians have a meaning for being Nigerian? These are the questions we need to ask. So while there is skills and there is competence, people can bring their skill and competence to the table when they feel they are part of the journey. When they feel it has meaning. But when there is no meaning, nobody will contribute emotions for you. Nobody will contribute creativity, competence. Nobody will contribute beliefs for you. What do? It now becomes, see, this in one scatter, chop as much as you can. And immediately that mindset is on the table, what do you think happened?
Now let me ask you, because you see, when you talk about you need a lot of youths are challenged and all that. Are youths themselves not a challenge to themselves? When you consider that these youths, many of them are not even, they're not thinking about the issues in the land. They're not thinking about politics. They're not thinking about development. They're probably just thinking, well, let me get a job, or let me sing a song so I go blow. Those kind of stuff. Or it's either I sing a song, or I do cryptocurrency, or I do some of these things. Everything, you have identified it as part of the problem, where people think that we must cut corners, we must get rich quick, and all that and all that. Now, how much is this not connected to the politics and the recruitment process for leadership in Nigeria?
I agree with you, it's connected, but we forget the first law of responsibility. If you go into a house and things are wrong, who will be the first person you hold responsible? The father.
Yes.
Right. Now it is when you're done with the father, you can now go to the wife and then perhaps to the children. That's the logic of responsibility, right? Most people talk about Nigerian youth, but most times we don't ask, what modeling have they seen?
That's why I asked about how many national examples.
That's what you have young people who grew up and they really cannot explain what is happening. They are seeing people that are rich but don't have products. They don't have products that they have developed, yet they are called billionaires. They are seeing people in places of power that have characters and attitude that are really they are not worthy of being there. So what do you think you do to them? The worst thing you can do to a young person, to make a young person have identity crisis, where the young person start believing this is the right thing to do, but it doesn't pay. Let me try this one. We have not given them model. You want to help young people, give them model. Start rewarding honesty. You see young people start sitting up. Now, I'm not making a case for them. There are some who are irresponsible, agreed. But on what we call the law of responsibility says, follow the first person that is responsible, then you go to the next person. So we have to hold the people who have made it so difficult to have people to model after. Then when we are done with them, we'll now move to the young people and now start challenging them. Now, you choose this person. Is it not possible you can choose A, B, C, D? But let's have that samples on the table first. So we have what we call alternative modeling. If you say the people who stole are the people that model you, why are you not choosing the people who didn't steal? But we have to have plenty of them. Tell their story. Tell their success story. Show their fulfillment story. Then the people can now have, okay, I think I can pick this one and leave this one. But not one institution where on a very large scale, you have people who shouldn't be there as models. The young people are going to tell you, I don't know, I will end by this quote. The quote says, when the mistakes of the older generation, if it's not corrected, it becomes a culture of a new generation. It is the mistakes our parents didn't correct that has put us in this situation. So you're forcing young people to bear the burden of old people.
Of the irresponsibility.
Yes,
of the
we are now
generation.
building the burden. So we shouldn't be quarreling about the definition of Nigeria by now. The identity of Nigeria shouldn't be a problem. It should have been clear. What every young person should be talking about, how do we improve? How do we start competing with other young people around the world? That is what an average young person is supposed to be quarreling with. But presently, an average young person is still trying to understand, what is Nigeria? Where are we going to? Are we really united? Are we moving forward? What is our fourth line? If you are giving a young person that burden, they don't have that clarity. So where will they put their skill and their creativity?
So like you said from the past, something you said before, they don't have a sport from which to plot.
Thank you. They don't have a sport. Now that means not to give them excuse, but provide the sport, then challenge them to use the sport. Then you see a difference. It's just a fewer ones that have done what they call self-reinvention. They sat down through reading exposure. They decide to rebuild themselves. Those are the ones now that are doing something a little bit better. But majority of time, look, let's be honest. How many models do we have? Painful reality. But how many good models do we have of nationalism? Models of truth and honesty. Model of enterprise. Rich men everywhere, but no product. No, now we have a problem. Call it by its name.
So what is its name? We have a problem.
We have a problem.
All right, okay. Now, I don't know what happened to the phone network. I'm yet to get even just one call. I think there's a problem because I experienced this on the press today earlier. Okay, so you might just be the fortunate person. Why don't you try? Just try. 08029938365 is the number. And then you talked about clarity. You talked about a vision. So give us a sample vision that Nigeria should be pursuing right now.
Okay. For instance, if Nigeria says in the next 20 years, Nigeria will lead the world in agriculture. That's a vision.
So now, all our energies will be focused.
Fine. So we have started now looking at what are the competitive avenue in agriculture. What should we do? What are we going to enable our young ones to be able to do? Then we can now build curriculum for that, meaning that every aspect of the curriculum is geared towards 20 years, best country leading in agriculture. And even in the agriculture, it might not be all across. It might be specific niche base. Are we talking product and the rest? You know, Nigeria has, there's one project Nigeria has called One Agricultural Product Per Local Government. We have that. If, for instance, you have that as a vision, it means you're saying that in the next 20 years, every local government should be very good in producing one agricultural product. Do you know what that means? You've solved poverty issue now. Imagine what will happen in a local government, pick the seedling, pick the entire value chain, the product itself for export, trying to process it, and the rest. Imagine that happening in a local government, such that the whole world, that's the only place you can get that product. For instance, I do know Kafanchan at a point in time was the headquarters of Chita, what you call ginger, for instance. But painfully enough, they don't have any company that does anything that has to do with ginger. And so it comes and it goes. Because I produced tea. So I entered into agriculture. And one of the major things we needed was ginger. Because ginger is a natural enhancer. Anything you add to ginger enhances the power of that thing.
Oh, okay.
Any natural thing you add ginger to, ginger boosts the effect. and the efficacy of that. So that was why ginger became extremely very important. But we're in this country.
So is it possible you add, I'm just, maybe you add ginger to garlic?
Yes, garlic will improve.
Oh, really?
What you're supposed to get from garlic will improve. Add it to anything. Ginger is a natural enhancer. We're sitting here, Chinese people came and took the whole thing away. And before you realize, gave us one different kind of seedlings that the whole of Kafanchan people are going through stress now to understand ginger. And that's why you see it's very crazy in the market. You see smaller version, not the kind of species we used before. Because we're not smart enough to understand. That's what I mean as a vision. If you, because at a point in time, we're one of, I think, second or so largest exporter of ginger around the world. So if you understand that kind of importance, what do you think a Kafanchan will be, for instance?
And if you have that kind of a strength without any effort, any extra effort, what then will come out of it if you really sit down?
Now you understand where the issue is. That is where that's what I'm saying.
Exploit it.
That's why when there is no vision, you will lose even the best of what you have. And that's only ginger. Go everywhere. Everything in almost every local government, there is something that is our strength. But when there's no vision, you just be looking at it. Strangers will come and pick it. And you are there arguing that we are not together, that Nigeria is different. Stranger will come and pick it. There was a time Chinese people will come. There's what they call ginger roll. It's like an oil that is inside. So I don't know how they worked it out. You can extract the oil and the ginger will still remain the way it is.
It's still in your hand.
The ginger is still in your hand. But the main thing has been taken away. Look, you don't understand what we've gone through. But you know, we can go through that because there's no clarity. There's no destination to where we are going to. That's where the challenge is. And the minute we can get that, then things begin to change. That's why for me, clarity, identity, vision is the most important thing. I respect skills, competence, yes. But if somebody that don't have direction, if you give them skill and competence, they become devil to you. Because without direction, if you give somebody a gun, he will shoot everybody. So while there's need for vocation, thank God that the federal government has started a project called TVET. And they are pushing vocational studies, yes. But you're teaching people who will leave Nigeria, who is losing. We are bleeding. We are bleeding like no tomorrow. You teach Nigerians when they are ready, you're supposed to get the result of what you have taught them with a little of what we do. That's when they remember they're traveling out of the country. And you think it's about the Nigeria? No. Because the average and the very young level, the child is introduced to education. The first thing you showed him was Abraham Lincoln. The first thing you showed him was Winston Churchill. The first time you showed the child what you call fighting for your country, it was the Confederacy Army where they were fighting, you know, the colony were fighting in America. So for them, the first time they see a white man is innovation. The first time they are seeing invention is a white man. So for them, the only place you can get the best of life is outside the country. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done for us to have that. All right,
there's a whole lot of work that needs to be done. That's what Victor Prince Dickson, the inventor of the national cake game, is saying. And that's where we're going to draw the curtain on the program today. I must say thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. And I must also add, you have a beautiful studio and you're doing something special, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
And let me also say thank you to the millions of viewers from around the world. Thank you for staying tuned to Kaftan Television. And like I say all the time, tell them it's happening here. There's no better place. And my production team, UK, Blessing, Joseph, every one of you, Pamela, everybody who's involved in this, Chukwuna Lueke, I want to say thank you to every single one of you. God bless. I'm out.